toasting here, guys.
Yes, sir.
Don't say.
I wonder why that is.
Trying to sweat us out.
How's it going?
Good. How you?
We just had one pick tonight. Yeah, so we moved up one spot here from 64 to 63 to take Kingsley. He was a guy that we targeted actually out of this tackle group in the second round. You know, there was a run on tackles there. I think there was 4 taken before we picked. So we just wanted to make sure we made a small move. You know, San Francisco had a need at tackle, and that was really the reason why we traded up for him at that point. You know, excited to get him here. You know, he's a young kid, just turned 21 in January. So there's a kid that's, you know, 3 years out of high school right now. You know, athletic, long. Like all these young guys, you know, there's inconsistencies in the game right now that he'll have to come here and work on. But he's going to come here, provide, you know, good competition here at the tackle position. You know, we did a lot of work on Kingsley. You know, throughout the fall, Greg Castile, John Howard with the area scouts that did a lot of work on him. We brought him in here for a 30 visit. You know, we visited him at the Combine, saw him at the Senior Bowl. That was my first exposure to him live. And you can see the athletic traits. So he's going to come in here, provide, you know, depth, competition, and, you know, he's going to be good in the room.
What do you like to see his readiness? How is his readiness to?
You know, we'll see. We'll see when he gets here, Adam. Like all these young guys, especially him. I mean, he just turned 21, 3 years out of high school.
Right.
You know, we feel like he has a high ceiling. He's long, he's athletic. You know, he played left tackle last year, started there last year. In 22, he was a right tackle, so he's played both sides. So he's comfortable doing both. So, you know, we'll get him here in the mix, and Coach Heck will work with him. And you know, we're excited to get him here, though.
Someone that you think can play both left and right side, or mostly left?
Well, we've seen it. You know, he's a prototype left tackle with his athleticism and length. Right? That's what we see him as. But he can play both, which is good. You know, having the versatility to do both, and you've actually seen it. You know, a lot of these guys, sometimes you only see him on the right, or you see him on the left, and he's actually lined up and played both. So, you know, having those exposures, you know, just from an evaluation standpoint, you've seen it.
Did you anticipate him dropping into the 60s? And like, can you mentioned the trade up to 63, go over sort of the conversations? Maybe
Yeah, so we probably started around 52, 53, 54. You know, we were on the phone trying to get up to get him. He was the guy that we targeted. And I think Baltimore took a tackle there at 62. And then we just felt like, you know, let's just make a small move and get him.
When you guys had him here for his visit, the longer visit, when you get to be around him a lot,
Yeah.
what stood out to you about his personality or anything?
You know, he was one of our favorite guys we had in for a visit. You know, he's a good kid, you know, very likable. He's going to fit in the room. He's got the BYU connection with Coach Reed, so that's a big deal. You know, he went through, you know, with the coaches and put him on the board, and you know, did very well with all that stuff. And so we felt comfortable with the person, and then the football intelligence piece. You know, that's really why we targeted him.
He's got some family, a lot of family, different cousins, uncles, all over.
Yeah, I think Penny Sewell's one of his cousins, and you know, he's had a long history of you know, people in his family that have played the game, so that always helps. Yeah.
Even going back to, you know, the Combine, Brett has been talking about competition at tackle, and he's been talking about just adding competition. How important was it, you know, that even if, you know, Ranye is going to be your starter, how important was it just to have somebody to push him, and how do you feel like these two can push each other?
Yeah, that's exactly why we brought him in, you know, to provide competition. And we do that with every room, you know. But we felt like, you know, Wanya is a second-year guy, and, you know, all these guys have you know, things they can do to develop. And we felt like bringing in, you know, brings out the best in all of them. Yeah.
Mike, going back to Worthy in the first round, when you guys picked there were several other wide receivers on the board that went in subsequent picks after you.
Yeah.
Other than a 4.240, I mean,
Yeah.
What stands out about Worthy? What made him stand out?
Well, obviously, this, like you said, the speed. I mean, 4.21. But he's not the biggest guy, but he's tough, and he's not just a vertical guy. He can run the route tree, the intermediate routes. He can get in and out of his breaks. So he's not a one-trick pony. Deep threat. We feel like, he can line up in a lot of different positions for us. He's a smart kid. And then he has return value, punt return value, which is going to be big for us.
Over the years, you guys have had a lot of rookie starters along the offensive line. How important has Andy Heck been in the coaching staff and making sure those guys are great?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about our coaches. I think we have the best coaches in the National Football League, especially with Andy Heck in that room. I think that's a special room right now. And when you bring young guys in, they kind of gravitate towards, the Creeds, Trey Smith, Toonies, those type guys, Juwan, guys who have experience in the league. And we always feel comfortable bringing guys in that, as long as they fit in the room, that they're going to develop.
Mike, how much is Kingsley's athleticism something that jumped out to you guys on the field?
Yeah, I mean, you can see the feet. I mean, he's 325 pounds, and he's light on his feet. Yeah, that certainly jumps out when you see a big guy like that who can move like that. Just like all these guys coming out, especially offensive linemen, it's so much technique, hand use, just consistency. And I think bringing in him, will push Wanye and to bring out the best in these guys. But certainly, yeah, the athleticism, it was a big piece for, especially for a guy that big. Yeah.
You got to play in the Big 12 this year, Texas, OU. Did you think that helped him develop?
I do, yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you're playing against that type of competition, especially that Texas, D-line that he had to go against was one of the best in the country. And you saw him compete the whole game. And those are the things that kind of stood out for us. There's areas of growth, just like any guys we draft here. And we feel comfortable that he's going to be one of those guys that gravitates towards these guys in the room and is going to take to coaching.
I know last year there was some thought to, before bringing Dawson, that Juwan maybe could go on the left before he settled on the right. Was there any thought to that this year when y'all were evaluating tackles?
We kind of leave that up to Coach Heck right now. But certainly, Juwan has played right tackle, and he could probably play left. But we felt like we saw Kingsley play left, and that was a big part of it too.
We'll last three: Todd, Nate, and then Sam. Go, Todd.
Mike, clearly you guys are more concentrated on yourself. But just what do you think of like yesterday, especially the draft? So many offensive players went early, the quarterback and all that. Was it when you guys were up there watching that beginning of it? Didn't they shock you that you have seen the last couple of days around the rest of the league?
I know having 6 quarterbacks go within the top 12 picks was, I don't know if 1984. I think that might have been the last time. So yeah, we knew it was quarterbacks, it was receivers, it was tackles, and there was going to be a run on these guys. And all the tackles went off the board probably at 20, 21 that we kind of we're kind of focused in on. And with Worthy, we were just waiting for him, and we tried to trade up earlier for him in the 20s, and we ended up getting him a little bit later. Yeah, Buffalo. Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes tweeted out that he obviously liked the pick.
Kingsley?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kingsley, yes.
Yeah.
Just what does it say that Patrick is now looking at wide receivers just as much as tackles, and just how much of the thought process is obviously him involved, along with Kingsley maybe sort of growing as Patrick obviously grows in his career?
Patrick's a football junkie. I think he goes on his iPad and he watches the whole draft. And my defensive players too. That's just Patrick. And anytime we can add, weapons for him or protection for him, I think he's going to be all for that. Yeah.
Mike, can you just give us a snapshot of the 2 days? Obviously, 2 premium positions who theoretically seems like positions of need for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, heading into the draft, I think anybody who, looked at our depth chart and figured out our needs, receiver, tackle. So we felt good about, filling those needs early on. We have 5 picks left here, I think, over the next, tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, those were definitely positions that we were targeting, tackle, receiver. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Sleeping here tonight?
Try not to.
Try not to.
Yeah.
You can get home.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it as always.
Yeah.
Thank you.